Good to have you again today on the program. And of course, it's the economy today. Okechukwu Onugbo here saying it's a pleasure to be with you again. Business is just the major thing that we talk about whenever we come to the economy today. Incidentally, today we are taking the trends, business trends, the trends of the things happening in the economy today, and of course matters that are arising from it. And so straight away we'll go into our discussion, and that is the main thing we'll handle today. And so straight, I must mention that I have my colleague and friend and someone that is versed in these things that will share with me even concerning as these matters have arisen in recent time. Economic matters, I mean, not political matters, because we know we have matters arising in this station, but this has to do with the economy. Welcome again. He is John Okoro.
Thank you very much, and good morning to you out there. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much, John. Straight away, CBN, we gathered, has lowered inflation. Their projects, it's projecting, says CBN projects lower inflation, says reforms attract some money, that is 24 billion naira. Sorry, $24 billion. You don't talk about naira these days. $24 billion inflow. Is it not cheering news?
Well, I think it is. It is if you take it again from the realm of macroeconomics. You could say it sounds good for maybe those who are very comfortable with maybe economic analysis, sitting on the armchair, you know. It sounds good like that. But you know, whatever is projected, you must juxtapose it with the realities on ground, because whatever policy, whether monetary policies, economic policies that government at any time churns out, the aim is to improve the lives and the livelihood of citizens. So when you come out with all sort of macroeconomic figures and projections and everything, and you've given the hope, or you are giving the hope that all is well, it is the people, the reflection of these policies, the improvements that we see on the lives of the people that will actually say whether there is an improvement or not. So you understand, talking about is it 24 billion of forex inflow into the country,
exactly,
based on the reforms. Yeah, we know that the monetary policy committee of the CBN, which is a statutory body that meet, you know, from time to time. Ordinarily, I think statutory they're supposed to be meeting like quarterly, but because of the economic hardship and the need to actually tackle and control inflation, they have been meeting like almost every other month. And you know, ever since they've been meeting, they have continued to increase the interest rates. That is the MPR, the monetary policy rate. As it is now, it is over 26%, the interest rate as it is now. So they believe that the more you increase the interest rate, the more you want to reduce liquidity, excess liquidity within the system, and thereby tackling inflation. They also feel that I'm trying to give us some of the reform that the CBN and the monetary policy makers are trying to tell us that have brought improvement. They also feel that by the reforms, you know, within the forex market, you know, like today, it's like they have tried to streamline the foreign exchange market. You know, before even on the street, you could actually get people who can change money for you, but it's like because of the reform and because of the speculations that led to, you know, the value of the naira and everything. It's like they feel that the thing is actually coming out with some kind of positive maybe outcomes for the country. However, beyond that, I think it is the people on the street that actually that should be saying whether things are getting better or not.
I think you're right. it's the people on the street, because from what you just finished talking about now, that must have been what made the central bank governor to say that naira volatility has got, they say, the worst over for naira volatility. You know, that's the CBN governor saying that. I said that is the worst over for naira volatility. So maybe it's because of these two. In addition to that, that will make it so that it could be that Nigeria, that the naira will now be stable. And but my own worry about this is, even if it is stable, at what rate is it going to be stable? Is it going to be stable at 1,200 naira per dollar? Sorry, you know what I mean? Or is it what? Let's think of where, getting it down to where it could be free, easy, and better for people, not minding the fact that we are going through this as a result of some mistakes that have been made as far as economic matters are concerned in this land.
Yes, you know, when you have an economy like ours that is very vulnerable, you know, monetary policy, maybe monetary policy controls must be very, very tight. Tight. Because if you don't tighten the monetary policy controls, chances are that your currency will not be able to stand its own within the committee of other very, very strong and stable currencies like the dollar. And that is exactly what we are facing now. In the last administration, you find out that they tightened the exchange rate regime, because they, you know, for so many years, you remember, the Bretton Woods institutions like the IMF and the World Bank, they actually, you know, try to force the administration, you know, former administrations to devalue the naira or to float the naira.
Yes.
Right? They had the argument from, especially the last administration, was that if you devalue the naira, that the economy will collapse.
Yes.
Because we don't have anything, we are not producing anything, we are not manufacturing anything, we are an import-dependent economy, and we are also a mono-product economy. The only thing that we can give to the world is just our crude. Yes, and we're not even selling the crude in naira, we're selling the crude in dollars. And also because of the OPEC quota and some other factors, you also have the production, fuel production, the production of petroleum has also increased. You remember before, even when we were doing our budgets, the benchmark for crude production was always more than 2 million barrels per day as a benchmark. But today we are dealing with far less than that, 2 million barrels per day, because of the issue of OPEC quota and also because of other factors affecting production within the zone. So, you know, all the when you aggregate all these problems, when you are now having these policies, especially as it has to do with foreign exchange, you have to be very, 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 very cautious, because any little mistake you make, you see what is going on. And that is exactly what is going on now within the system. You see, even, you know, before we looked at our West African neighbors who used the CFA as their currency was very, very, very low. But look at it now. Even as we speak now, even the CFA is even above the naira as it is today now. You know, so, you know, it's not funny. We always say that it's because that we are trying to lay some foundation that will maybe breed or maybe result in something great in the future. Good as it is, but as it is currently now, we are not smiling in the country because of some of these problems.
Is still the same thing that has to do with you know, when we talk about bond before now, it was always what people would jump at, you know, try to get involved in. But we are gathering that the demand for federal government bond, it has slowed so much. It has slowed in Nigeria. And this is so bad that the investors are now afraid of getting, or let me not use afraid, shy to get involved in the FGN bonds, because they know that what we have as our money may yield you almost nothing when you do a bond with us. That's why they are seeking higher bonds, right? Higher bonds right now, higher yields rather right now. So streamlining this and getting our economy to be our naira, our mode of transaction to be put in a perfect way should be the major thing. Anyway, I believe that the central bank, because that's what we have started with, he knows about this and they're working, apart from all the meetings and all that, and that it will happen in such a way that it will be brought down to affect the lives of the ordinary people who are on the streets. The woman that has a buka around you that sold a plate of rice for 300 naira, 350, now sells it at 600, 700, 800 naira, until she sees the reason for which that rice will be sold again back to 400 or even 500. If you tell her all these stories we're sharing here, it may not make any meaning to her. So that's why I'm pleading with those in authority, especially financial authorities, to do the best they can, fiscal matters, do the best they can to bring it down in such a way, let it be brought down to such a way that the ordinary Nigerian would enjoy this. One other thing, the major reason for which all these started happening in our country so bad from them is the fact that we did not see those vehicles, CNG vehicles, because our president knocked off the what do you call it now so early, said that no more subsidy. So we didn't see the CNG vehicles anywhere. I don't know whether we haven't started seeing them. I've seen one as it's being advertised, just one being advertised by somebody, but that's not what we are talking about. We want the one that will be everywhere to work, to help bring down the cost of transport, because when transportation costs gets to be this high, the way it is today, it would affect everything. As we always say here, it's a spiral effect that it has with everything we're doing in the country. With that rising and the way it has remained high up, it will be difficult for these things we're sharing to come down. Though last week we heard that this federal government is sealing a deal with a company that will do the production and all that. But we pray that it will happen soon, so that the people who are outside everywhere, because each time you go to the market to talk with them, we say the major problem is that the price of fuel is still high.
Yes,
but the major problem is that as a result, people, when they want to go and buy food, when they want to go and bring these farm produce from the villages, it's still a lot of money that you pay for fuel and all that. What?
The CNG alternative or option, if you remember, actually, it began to crop up into our national discourse sometime in 2021. You remember when there was an increase in the tariff of power, of electricity tariff,
yes.
And then there was also a plan at that time again to remove the fuel subsidy, and then Labour came in and they began to negotiate with the federal government. At that moment, the government said, okay, that alternatively, that we are going to be introducing the auto gas, that is a compressed natural gas, which you could use for motor. You have propane, you have butane, and across the world, it's being used in many parts of the world again. However, in Nigeria here, we are used to diesel and also used to PMS fuel.
That is fuel.
And so petrol. For you to actually bring the auto gas or the CNG into mainstream, there are some background things you have to do. First of all, you have to build the infrastructure to make sure that across the country that it will be easy for people to actually drive into a filling station and have access to gas, to auto gas or CNG. And that you're also going to train people who are going to be experts in this particular sector, and that again, conversion, because a great proportion and majority of the vehicles we use there actually run on either PMS or run on diesel.
Yes.
And because of that, you have to do a lot of conversion. And conversion is not easy. You have to spend money. And yes, I know there are a lot of people, especially those who are into transportation, commercial business, they will actually want to convert to CNG because of the overhead cost or buying fuel and everything. But I know that recently too, there has been some policy statements from the regulators, from NNPCL and the rest of them, that they are going to build, you know, a couple of CNG structures and infrastructures across the country. But you know, these things we keep on talking. You know, policies. You know, policies are not about statements. Policies can actually become concrete when you put them into action. But you know, we sit down comfortably and we just any attempt. Maybe some of these policymakers, maybe when they meet the press and you just say, "Okay, what about this?" They will say, "Okay, we are going to do it." And it becomes headline, and it just end up that way. So I think there's a need for government to actually, because actually around the world today, people are also are actually looking for options, you know, to PMS and other energy sources. And the auto gas, the compressed natural gas that they use for vehicles, is an option that we can actually embrace, because we actually have these particular resources here in the country. You know, this is a country that is rich in all these minerals, and yet
we are still having all of this.
Around. So I think we have to take action instead of just policies.
Exactly. You see, this lack of, okay, let me say this, inaction, let me use the word inaction, is truly affecting even some of these multinationals that have come and left this land, the shores of Nigeria. You know, many of them have left the shores of Nigeria and settled in Ghana and some other countries around us to do business and still get their products back into the country for us to buy, this time at higher rates, because when they were here, they were at manageable rates. But whenever, as they leave and you see their products brought back into the country, it can't be at the same rate it was when they were here. And that brings to mind again, this, or calls to mind, this one that we heard recently, ShopRite. ShopRite, we were told the one in, I think it's Wuse or Wuse 2, that they will be shut at the end of this month. We'll close shop at the end of this month. And some others in some other places we're hearing will also be packing up, closing shop, winding up. And we are still here. If all these happen, they leave the country. Traders will still import these products and the rate will still go higher. We need to check this. What do you think about that?
Well, it's all, I think all these, they are all interconnected. They are all interlinked. And, you know, they start from somewhere and everything, you know, get hooked up. It's the same thing all over. You know, people are living. And, you know, these businesses are private businesses, for example. And any business concern is about profit maximization. And when the operating environment becomes, you know,
unhealthy,
toxic,
yes,
unhealthy and unstable, I don't think any very serious or any sane or rational business person would like to stay put in a place. So you have to go and then maybe look for maybe greener pastures or maybe to saner climes where you could actually do your business and make a profit and then earn a living and be happy with it. So I'm not blaming anybody who wants to leave or who wants to close shop, because, you know, we're just mentioning ShopRite because it's popular.
Yes.
You know, let me tell you, if you go down to the grassroots, because of some of these policies, these neoliberal policies that are actually influenced by institutions like the IMF and the World Bank, you know, many of these small businesses, for example, are closing down. You know, like because you see the SMEs, the small and the medium enterprises, you know, these are the mainstay of the economy. If you remove the SMEs from the economy will collapse. You know, for example, can you imagine yourself waking up in the morning and you step out of your house and maybe you want to buy some little things across the street and you cannot find them?
No.
Can you imagine yourself, you want to go to cut your hair over the weekend and all the barbing salons or the hair making salons, the hairdressing salons are all closed up?
Because of the fact that there's no fuel.
And that is exactly what is happening now. That is what is happening now. I know of people who have been into food business, food vendors, they sell restaurants. But every day, you know, when they began their business, they started selling like a plate of food, 500 naira, like you mentioned before. At least it's in a good environment. And when this problem began, this economic problem began, they now moved to 700 naira. People were still complaining. They now moved to 800 naira. They now moved to 1,000. Now, when they got to that 1,000 naira mark, it became a very big problem. You know, when you know in the restaurant, you see 1 or 2 persons coming, and they cannot raise the money to return, because if they returned to the market, what they bought for 1,000 naira today would have gone to 2,000 naira. And then would they now come back and say, okay, a plate of food that we have put at 1,000 naira, we are going to move it again to 1,500. How long will they continue doing so? So it affected them, and they closed shop. And as we speak now, they depend on the shop for a living to train their children and every other thing to pay their house rent. But now they're not doing, and now they are not dependent on other people for their own survival. I'm talking about families, and just one example. And you can give as many examples as possible. So it's not just about the big shops, because we hear about them. There are also people who are not known, who are not heard, but they are closing shops every day because of the same situation that we find ourselves in the country. So it's important that we also talk about them, because the SMEs are the mainstay of the economy. Without the SMEs, the economy will collapse. It will. And therefore, there must be a very serious attention given to the survival of SMEs in this country. And this current economic situation in the country is not favorable to the SMEs.
Okay. Thank you so much, John. We will observe a break at this point in time. We'll return and we'll continue with the general trends in the economy as they are rising. Yeah, welcome back. We have something that we could also call cheering news. When you talk about the oil marketers, they are all eager to receive the rollout of Dangote petrol in July. They want to have it in July. That's when it has been arranged for. And this is June coming to an end. So they are excited about it and they are eager to receive it. Why are they excited? Why are they eager? These are the two things we want to find out.
Okay, all right. Well, look at it from, first of all, from the fact that the marketers, you know, they see the Dangote refinery as coming in to bridge, you know, that gap of maybe the cost gap, because you know what it is. You know, when the product is imported from abroad, you know, it comes with a lot of costs, landing costs and all the costs, all of them, you know, you find them being factored into the final cost that the consumer will bear. The pump price will now reflect the cost of bringing these products into the country. So because of that, you know, so when the marketers actually lift from Dangote refinery, I think they will spend less in getting the product. However, the problem there is that even the Dangote refinery and its ability to start refining fuel here to sell for local consumption is also in serious jeopardy. I remember that just recently, a top management personnel in Dangote refineries, you know, complained about what the international oil companies, that the IOCs, have been doing and denying them crude and everything. And because that has been the situation, the refinery that I'm talking about, the Dangote refinery here, said that they may be forced to start importing fuel or to start importing crude oil from the United States and elsewhere. And what is going to be the implication of that? It's simple, that we are going to go back to the status quo where we are. We will return to where we are, which means we are still going to be buying fuel high. Because if Dangote could actually import crude oil from the US, you know, the cost of bringing it back to the country and then they refine it here, definitely it's not going to crash the price, because, you know, the excitement about Dangote refinery has been that it's going to crash the pump price of fuel. So everyone, the consumers, everyone has been expectant, believing by that, because the way it is now. And you know, again, yesterday, one of the regulators, you know, within the sector, you know, actually called in refiners to Abuja for a meeting. And you know, when the personnel of Dangote was making that statement, he actually maybe accused some of these regulators of also not helping matters. And this particular regulator just actually now answered and told Dangote that because of deregulation of the downstream sector, you know, of the oil industry, that refiners could actually source their crude from anywhere. Do you understand? Which means, so what does that mean? It simply means that even those in authority are not actually concerned about crashing the price or the pump price of fuel, because if they are, with that complaint by Dangote, they should have been able to call all the people together and say, please, let us start getting our crude oil. Let us start sourcing our crude oil locally, because if you source it locally, it's going to reduce the cost of production. And when you now take it out there to sell, the pump price will come down. You know, because it's unprecedented. If someone told me, even a little bit more than a year ago, that a time will come in this country where we are going to be buying fuel at what we are buying it today, it will be so unbelievable. Nobody will believe. I will say, brother, you are dreaming. But it is happening now. I think
has become dream come true.
It is happening now. So I expect that I felt that those, but you know, the statement is from this government agency that, you know, in answer or in response to the complaint of Dangote Oil, is that because there's a deregulation in the industry, that you, as a refiner, you can source a crude oil anywhere. Which means you could actually go to Venezuela and get crude oil there. If you go to Venezuela and get crude oil there, if you refine it there, don't you know how much it's going to be? And we have the crude oil here.
Yes.
So when we have crude oil here, why can't we outline? So what's the essence of having agencies, government agencies, to regulate this sector? It's not for you to make life easier for the
people here. What is more, this one they want you to go and get from the outside. It's not just that it's even better than the one you have in your own country. It's not even that it's better. Why can't our own people? That's why they called it cartel.
The Nigerian crude oil.
They give it, yes.
That is the Bonny Light.
Bonny Light, of course.
It's one of the best in the world.
Whether it is
why should the West Texas intermediary, the Nigerian oil, which is the Bonny Light crude, is one of the best in the world.
Why would you now want your own person to go outside and import? Because of the fact that the people he referred to as cartel are doing something. Or mafia, is it not? Because when you just say cartel, it sounds beautiful in the ear. The mafia, that they are doing something to ensure that they frustrate all that effort. It's well, I think it's the people in government that should do something, because ordinary people can't do anything about this. Let's come back again to something else. This government we're talking about has done something that maybe many people don't seem to know about, that there is this ban of single-use plastics in government offices. That is, you know, these takeaway plastics. Those ones that are single-use, they have banned it. And I think
the MDAs.
Yes, I think yes, it's good for us in our country. If you can't bring the ones that could be washed and used again over and over again, ban these ones, because these ones are the ones that will constitute great nuisance when it comes to the environment. And when the environment is messed up, the economy cannot be made better than as it is already. And what we want is to have a rounded matter to ensure that our economy flows the way it ought to be flowing. But with this constituting great nuisance, now that we're even in the rainy season and you see the rain falls, you see all of that on the road, and you know it is not biodegradable. It stays for 100 years before it comes to get to be degraded. So it's good. I like that one that they have done, that I pray that it will be carried out, because one thing is to make an order, and the other one is to enforce it. You still see many people coming in with such things and with their programs all over. That's one thing that I like that has happened. Then secondly, the governor of Akwa Ibom State, Governor Eno, he also did something that's good. He brought 150,000 cocoa seeds distributed among their people, among farmers in their state. I mean, when you have up to that 150,000 being distributed among the workers, among the farmers, you find out that give them 2 years, give them 3, 4, 5 years, they will become huge producers of cocoa. And of course, that will go a long way in helping the economy of the state. And of course, by extension, the economy of the nation. The state, I want to talk about a little more, is doing a lot more. Is doing a lot more. They're talking about this building the free zone, trade-free zone in that state, so as to make it easy for people within the country and even outside to come in there and do their trade without serious taxes and all that, and they do and go. It will help the economy of the state, and it will help the local people, which is what is my own problem, to help the local people so that their own economies will be made better. The personal economy of these people will be made better, so that they can pay the school fees of their children. Because you see, many people can't pay school fees today because of this thing. But when you help the farmer, to give the farmer the little things that he will cultivate to help develop his own economy as an individual, it gets to be extended to the things he or she does. So I encourage that. I encourage that this governor is doing this. I know that other states will also have what they want to do. Yesterday I was talking in a discussion and talked about found out about Edo that has the largest palm plantation in Nigeria today. Is in Edo. Yeah, I said that's beautiful.
9-4.
Yes. You know, I said that's beautiful. These are the things we need to have. Let's have them. Let's develop them. Let's lift them, because these things, if we have them everywhere, getting them developed and lifting, it will help. That little that comes from each of them will boost the economy, and it will make the common man, it will make the ordinary citizen, it will make the person on the streets to find food to eat. It will make the common man, to make that person that's on the street to find little things to do and not become idle. Because these things that we're talking about, as they are going on, it is labor. It is labor, and they are doing this labor, and it is paid for. Then it will help them, and that way it will help lift the economy of the individual, of the state, and of the nation. And that labor. If you want to say anything about this, I'll let you.
Just the cocoa thing. I'm interested in the cocoa. Okay. In the distribution of the cocoa seed, because cocoa is one of the, I think one of the most sought after economic maybe crop in the world. Currently, I think it's Cote d'Ivoire, the Ivory Coast, that is the biggest producer of cocoa in the world. I know what that is doing to the economy because of what cocoa can do in terms of the value chain. Food and the rest of them. All the chocolate and the rest of them, people eat the beverages and so many. Cocoa can actually be used for so many things, and we know that
even some medicinal things too.
Yeah, exactly. So for so many things. And we know again that the first high-rising building,
Cocoa
House in Ibadan. Because during the leading up to the independence and the independence period, it was all about agriculture and agriculture across. And
the Southwest was known for cocoa production.
Everywhere when you go to places like Ondo State and everywhere, even in the then mid-western Nigeria and the western Nigeria, it was all about cocoa. They were known. In fact, most people even left some other parts of the country just to go and become cocoa farmers because of the economic benefits and also the gains, the commercial gains of cocoa farming at them. But today, thank God that we are trying to understand the place of agriculture in reviving our economy.
Well, as I was just talking about labor, I remembered the fact that the labor talk is still on, and that the president...
That's the minimum wage.
Yes, the minimum wage thing is still on. That the president has said that he wants to consult further before it is eventually concluded. You know, the time he said earlier that he was sending to the National Assembly, Labour said, you must consult us before sending anything you want to send, because if you send what we don't agree with, we will reject it. And I think that was a good talk, and I think the president listened, was well advised eventually to keep it for now, consult widely and perfect it. And the other thing about it is that he's even consulting with the governors, because some governors then had said that they were not ready for it. So it would be good, not when the federal government has finished everything and they have concluded, then some state governors will say, we were not consulted, we can't pay, we can't do anything like that. We keep saying that every state in this country has one thing or the other that is natural resources that can sustain it. It's just that some of these states are not prepared to look inwards and get that which God has given them, that their natural gift, reserve, to work on it, to make something good out of it. Most of the time is that they want to sit back and wait for the fall, that the rain falls from the federal economy, from the federal government and all that. So they forget about the fact that each state has something to produce. It has been mentioned many times that Nigeria is among the wealthiest countries in the world. But Nigerians are among the poorest people in the world today.
Now you see the issue of minimum wage. If you look around the world, every serious country predicates its minimum wage upon some other prevailing economic situations, such as the GDP per capita, the per capita income of citizens, and then GDP per capita, and then you talk about inflation rate and so many other factors. And any minimum wage given must be able to empower the citizens who are the recipients or the beneficiaries of this minimum wage to live above some of these prevailing economic circumstances that I've just mentioned. And so any minimum wage that someone earns, and that minimum wage is below what they call a living wage, or even below what they call the poverty line, then there is a problem with it. If you do a comparative analysis, or a peer review from other countries around the world, you find out that the prevailing economic circumstances of those countries, they are just so minor and minute that when you receive your wage as a worker, you are not going to have any problem in terms of overhead, because whatever you are going to spend, be it your personal expenses or everything, is going to be very, very minute compared to the situation on ground in the country. So if you spend money, you're not going to be feeling it, because the money is not even going to finish. You are going to have a lot to spend from your minimum wage or from your wage, and then afterwards you also have a lot to save for rainy days.
Yes.
So once it gets to a point where people cannot use their wage to spend and then to save,
find a little to spend,
to save,
to find
then
a little to
there
save.
is a problem.
Yes.
And mind you, when you talk about minimum wage means the minimum
the least
that
you
anybody can pay. That doesn't mean that, like in many countries, like for example in the US, where I know the minimum wage, the national minimum wage is about $7 per hour, about that. But no state in the US pays $7 per hour. They pay above.
Of course.
$11.
That's why it is minimum.
$14.
That's why it is minimum.
Same with the UK and other countries. Now in Nigeria here, when we talk about minimum wage, many times our mind will just go to government workers, those who work in the public sector. But the minimum wage, when it becomes a law, should be for everybody. Which means the least paid worker within an organization that can pay minimum wage should be paid that amount or above. Do you understand?
Yes.
But here is a different ballgame. So if any minimum wage that government will come out with, and people will not be able to use that money, spend it, and then have savings, then that is not a minimum wage. That is not anything. That is just a pittance. So that is why, as the president is consulting wider with the people, because I know that the governors forum is very, very, very powerful. It's a very, very, very powerful lobby in the system, and rightly so. You know, you also have the organized private sector who have been insisting that they cannot pay beyond 60,000, or worst case scenario 62,000, and you can also understand with them. So these factors will play around what the final decision of government will be. However, government should also be able to consult with labor. As you are consulting with all these people, try to bring labor along, because just on Monday, labor complained, you understand,
yes,
that they have not heard anything from government. Nothing has been heard from government since they have been waiting. Just waiting and waiting. So they should also bring labor, so that we are not going to start having this long-standing and protracted industrial dispute.
Yes, yes.
Let this matter be ended once and for all. But whatever you want to pay, be it a thing that when people receive it, they will be able to spend the money and then have something to save. Because if you have already spent your money ahead of the salary, which means you are going to go into overdraft. Anytime you receive the money, you go into overdraft.
And that is what happens in our country.
Poverty pro max.
You know, one problem even with that is that who is even prepared to give you this credit service anymore? It's difficult to get into a place where you say you normally eat, and to say, please give me food, I will bring money by month end. It's even difficult these days, because if she gives you, she may not find enough money to go to the market to buy another. So it's even an all-round affair. It's not just only for that worker that thinks about what to eat. Even the person that you're eating from, if many more people will come to do the same thing with that fellow, the woman or whoever that owns the booker or the eatery will close shop, as we are seeing closed shops going on everywhere. Well, we are not happy about the closing of shops in different places in the country today. What we are praying is that better things will happen, and so there be reason for improvement in these products. Finally, Gari is a product that has been produced in this country for as long as I got to know. I mean, right from the time I became a human being, I got to know about myself.
That may have been your first food.
Yes, you know, as an adult, yes. It has remained the same way. What is wrong with the producers of this Gari? What is wrong with this country? Why can't we make Gari better? It's still the same thing. It has not been improved upon. Let the researchers, I'm making a call onto the researchers, get into your whatever and do serious research and see what can be added to that Gari to improve the quality of it and the effect it will have. The what do you call it now? I remember I mentioned, you know, let it be that Gari that someone is taking is not just the carbohydrate.
Maybe you're talking about just the kind of a value chain.
Yes, let there be
kind of derivative
can we have something like anything that is proteinous added to it, so that someone can take it and know that you're taking protein, taking something like a carbohydrate along with it. There is starch and all that, but there can be something else added, because if it people who have been producing things every other place, they always work on it and make it better. Well, why I am saying this is that I know of somebody that told me just recently of something that could be added to that Gari to make it different. You still eat it and enjoy it, but you get something else that will be in your system, and that is good for the body.
I'd rather talk about maybe cassava itself.
Yeah,
because, you know, that's the base of it.
Of course, it's the cassava that you dry and
the cassava itself has a lot of products that come out of it. Even you remember the cassava bread thing.
Yes.
They had the cassava flour.
Did it ever work? Did it ever work?
And so many other derivatives. I think the focus should be using the cassava as the base crop out of it.
Yes,
you know,
let the researchers go back into their whatever and do something
because
about
even,
that cassava.
Even even you know that what they call the biogas.
Yes.
You know, which you could actually use to as an energy to
Yes.
drive vehicles or any other thing to power like the fuel.
Yes.
And in many other countries now they actually get it. At the time, you know,
the cassava leaf.
when Nigeria was ranked amongst the I think the #1 producer of cassava in the world.
In the world, yes.
You know, at that point in time, and then this discovery of that cassava can actually serve as a base for biogas to drive industries and vehicles and everything. You know, they started coming to this place, started coming here. Before you know it, cassava itself that was a little bit common then became a very huge issue. And we didn't capitalize on that.
We did not.
Because you must be able to capitalize on your products, on what, you know, they say put your best foot forward. The best thing you have. And we have these things. I thought that as of that time when the demand for cassava was high, that there should have been a lot of massive investment.
And when you say this, it look as though it is from somewhere far away. You know, it was under administration.
A lot of foreign exchange out of cassava, because cassava is all over the place. It's a very common product.
Remember, there was a time it became they called it the green gold. It became the thing that was about the highest. But what did we make out of it? Nothing.
Talk about hibiscus.
Where are our researchers?
I want to divert a little bit or try to expand the discussion here. If you leave cassava aside again as a huge potential.
Yes, you know, actually starting from the leaf. You know that the leaf is what they used to produce the fuel.
Exactly.
Okay.
Then you talk about things like hibiscus.
Yes.
That is the zobo. The zobo plant we talk about. Nigeria is the best. Nigerian's strain of hibiscus is the best in the world. Same as ginger. In Kaduna State here, the ginger that come out of Kaduna State is the best in the world.
Even so, I gathered
is the best
moringa. Nigeria's moringa is about the best. So what are we doing?
I don't know. But
please, whoever that can help to put these things in order should do it, because we need to diversify. General trends in the economy is what we discussed today, and these are trends that can help us lift the economy from where it has been to where it ought to be.
These doldrums.
Yes, I don't understand why people who are at the helm of affairs concerning these things would not do something. In actual fact, we will get the Ministry of Agriculture to come and talk in this program, because there's a lot of things that have to do with the economy tied with the Ministry of Agriculture. We will do that, and we'll talk more about these products. Well, that is just a part of it. In actual fact, this thing you just heard us discuss that has to do with the gari, cassava product and all that is just a teaser for greater things that will come concerning these things in the economy of this nation. This is where we will let it be for today. We want to thank you for being part of it. We want to also implore you to continue being part of what we have on the economy today in KAFTAN TV. Please do come again and enjoy with us. And my colleague has been
John Okoro.
John Okoro, thank you so much. I am Okechukwu. The best is what we wish you. Remember, we'll always try to give you previews, reviews. We want to give you news, and we want to do some interviews and put our discussion in order to ensure that the economy is made better for all of us. Till we meet again, have a blessed life.